2, 1.
Good morning and welcome to live trading. Within the past 24 hours, Qualcomm, Robinhood, DoorDash, Etsy, Shopify, PayPal all reported earnings, and Apple and Amazon are decked tonight. Live trading with Money Mitch starts now.
Winner, winner, chicken dinner. Those words have been dancing around my head all night. It's Vegas lore, that phrase.
All right, traders, let's get it started. Nick Brown getting us off the hop. And yes, there's a million earnings reports, so I'm going to let Nick go through as many as possible before the open here. I'm going to really quickly go through my 3 stocks that I have right now in swing trading. I talk about all the time when I see rotation going against me, I want to limit my position sizing and reassess, right? Am I being patient, looking for longs? Am I looking for shorts? So yesterday, I didn't want to open shorts because I didn't necessarily know if we were breaking trend. Today, I finally get that day where I'm like, okay, we've broken trend now. Now I want to start looking for potentially maybe some quick shorts and looking for patience on the long side. Now, the swing trades that I have right now, all are in decent areas where I can continue trying to make them work. So discount stores have a tendency of maybe going up when the market comes down. So I will keep BJ right now. But if it does go below, let's say 65 today, I'll get out of this trade. I've already taken some profits, so it's okay. No matter what, it's a gain. And we'll see what happens on this. I'm up 3.3% on BJ. XOM, I'm up 2.4%. And I already know my out there, 104.50s. And no matter what, I got in this at 103.27. So this is a win regardless of whatever happens on XOM. We'll see if it can go back up towards 107 and 108. A close at 108 today, and I'll be looking really good in this position. I'll move back down below that 104.50. I'll take the money and run. Humana, another one that I got to watch out today at the open here because I could get maybe a little bit of a dip. And then a recovery. So I got to be careful here with Humana. Yesterday, I could have taken a major win here towards 488. I did not take that 488 because, of course, by the time I came back to the computer after a little bit of some lunchtime, I was at 487s and I kind of froze up there. I wanted 490s, maybe got a little bit too picky trying to get the 490s versus 488 or 489s, which I was really close to there at the high of the day yesterday. So if we could come right back up towards that 488 today, I'm just going to take majority of this position off and then look for it to keep going. But if we break like 476, I have to get out of this position because I'm also not going to let this position all of a sudden hit me hard when I had good gains yesterday. Normally, I would have taken half out yesterday and kept the rest break even today. So I have to try to stay towards my process, right? That's what keeps me in the green. Stay focused, Mitch. We'll see what happens today. Going to be looking to see if lithium names can make a little bit of an up move because ALB is doing well. So basic materials, I'll be looking to see if metals and minerals can get a little bit of a lift today. We'll see what happens there. Just giving you a little bit of an outlook of what I could possibly look for towards the open. Of course, big stocks reporting tonight, Amazon and Apple. That could shake up the world. And I have 1,000,001 earnings reports, and I'm sure Nick has them all for us. So what I'm going to do here is go ahead. Nick, can you do me a favor? Do you have a Benzinga Pro that maybe you can share?
Yes.
Okay, so when you go to the shared screen here, go ahead and hit shared present. And when you hit shared screen, go to the Chrome tab and find Benzinga Pro. Because that's going to help you That's going to help you. You don't even need to leave it up. You can kind of move back and forth from it. So that's why I'm going to help you with that. All right, so you got that up there. I'm going to take your audio off there so that at least you don't have audio. And now you can go back and forth and you can maybe like put up those positions as you're talking about these earnings, right? So just put up the chart, then you can bring up your other kind of information. It won't show up on the screen. I'm just showing you a little bit of a trick there. And then hit the unmute when you're ready, at least on yourself.
Okay, there we go. I was going to say, we have tons of earnings, Mitch, and there's a tons we're going to get to. It's just Ryan is off today, guys, so we just want to put that out there. Ryan will be back with us on Monday. But it's just Mitch and I today and tomorrow, so we're going to have a little bit of fun. We're not going to cover every earnings report because we'd be here till probably 1 o'clock tomorrow morning, and I need sleep. But in the meantime, let's start off with Qualcomm here. Take a look at those shares. Adjusted EPS came in at $1.87. Estimate was for $1.81. Revenue came in at $8.44 billion. Estimate was for $8.51 billion. They see Q4 adjusted EPS to $1.80 to $2. Estimate was for $1.94. And they see Q4 revenue of $8.1 billion to $8.9 billion. Estimate was for $8.79 billion. Those shares are lower this morning. Take a look at Robinhood. Those shares are lower this morning after this company reported earnings. We'll just the chart here just a little bit. This is all new to me, guys, so apologize. In the meantime, EPS came in for Robinhood at 3 cents. Net revenue was for $486 million. Estimate was for $472 million. Assets under custody, $89 billion. Estimate was for $82.84 billion. Transaction-based revenue, $193 million. Estimate was for $188 million. Crypto revenue, $31 million. Right in line with expectations of $31.1 million. And they see full year total operating expenses, $2.33 billion to $2.41 billion. Estimate was for $2.43 billion. Next up, we have DoorDash, and they reported earnings last night. And those shares are also lower as well. Take a look at that chart. EPS came in at a loss of 44 cents. We're not comparing those to estimates. Revenue, $2.13 billion. Estimate was for $2.05 billion. Adjusted EBITDA, $279 million. Estimates for $214.5 million. They see Q3 adjusted EBITDA, $220 million to $270 million. And the estimate there was for $192.1 million. They see full year gross order value, $64.2 billion to $65.2 billion. Estimate was for $62.66 billion. And they see full year marketplace gov $64.2 billion to $65.2 billion. Estimate was for $62.66 billion. What a tongue twister. Next up, we have Etsy. They reported earnings, and guess what? Those shares are also lower this morning. EPS came in at 45 cents. Estimate was for 42 cents. Revenue came in at $628.9 million. Estimate was for $618.5 million. And they see Q3 adjusted EBITDA margin 27% to 28%. Estimate was for 27.3%. They see Q3 gross merchandise sales $2.95 billion to $3.1 billion. Next up, we have Shopify. They also reported earnings last night. I know we're getting to the open about 2 minutes from here. Shopify reported earnings last night, 14 cents. Estimate was for 6 cents. Revenue was $1.69 billion. Estimate was for $1.62 billion. Gross merchandise volume, $55 billion. Estimate was for $53.43 billion. They see Q3 revenue growth, low 20s percentage. They also see Q3 rev to grow at low 20s percentage rate. That's year over year now. And they see Q3 gross margin up 2% to 3% versus Q2. And they see Q3 full year cash flow profitability greater than the entire 1H 2023. Next up, we have PayPal earnings, and those shares are lower as well this morning. Adjusted EPS came in at $1.16, right in line with expectations of $1.16. Net revenue, $7.29 billion. Estimate was for $7.28 billion. Total payment volume, $376.54 billion. Estimate was for $372.48 billion. Full year 23 share repurchases now expected to reach around $5 billion. They see Q3 revenue about $7.4 billion. Estimate was for $7.33 billion. They still see full year adjusted EPS $4.95. Estimate was for $4.94. And those shares are lower this morning. And we have Unity Software. Those shares are actually higher this morning, just about 0.7%, or just about 1.7%. 0.17%, we'll call it, flat to positive territory. Those shares reported 51 cents EPS came in. We're not comparing those to estimates. I believe those were expecting a loss of 6 cents, something with a charge or something with estimates. We're just not comparing those to estimates. Sales came in at $533.48 million. Estimates for $514.18 million. They see Q3 revenue $540 million to $550 million. Estimate was for $500 million, and they see full year 23 revenue $2.12 billion to $2.2 billion. Estimate was for $1.96 billion. And to end it off, Warner Brothers Discovery, they reported earnings this morning, a net loss of $124 billion or 51 cents per share, and revenue of $10.36 billion for Q2. Market is open. We're going to get to those shares in just a minute. for the SPY and everything. But to cap it off, one more is Moderna. They reported earnings this morning, and I think it's they're a drug maker with vaccine cells. So I'm going to cover those here right now. Moderna shares, those are lower. Those earnings came in at a loss of $3.62. The estimate was for a loss of $3.84, so better than expectations. The estimate for the sales came in at 344 million. Estimate was for 290 million, so a big beat there. And Moderna expects 2023 COVID-19 vaccine sales of 6 billion to 8 billion. That's dependent on the U.S. vaccination rates. And market is open. I'm going to stop sharing. We're just going to do a full screen of me for now until Mitch comes back. But in more of general news, we've had a lot of news come in this morning, and I'll wait for Mitch to get back on some China news regarding Morgan Stanley downgrading China equities, and we're going to get to that in just a minute. But first, in the meantime, we do have some news regarding oil. Take a look at XOM, Chevron. I should probably share my screen regarding those shares. We've had some Saudi Arabia news this morning. Just put up USO here, the United States Oil Fund. For there, we've had Saudi Arabia saying, according to the state news agency, that Saudi Arabia will extend voluntary oil cut of 1 million barrels for another month to include September. The voluntary cut can be extended, deepened, they should say. Oil futures, right after that news hit, did spike to another $1 a barrel. So Brent crude is up over $1 a barrel. We've had yields rising. We've had a lot going on. And so I see Mitch is back. Mitch, I don't know did you catch the China news regarding Morgan Stanley saying taking profit on China and they're downgrading their shares?
That's just, they're late to the boat, man.
I know. They should have listened to you from the beginning.
Yeah, they should have been playing the upside, and then now you're going to tell me that you want to sell here? I mean, like, come on, man. Like,
yes, they cut the Chinese stocks to equal weight, and they say Taiwan shares also lowered on valuations amid tech surge.
Oh, watch how you get the rip there. Look at Humana now up there towards the 486 already, guys. So this is looking really good for me on the swing trade here on Humana. Got the 481s, of course, and now we're starting to really push here. Can we get through the high of 486? Of course, this is kind of like the resistance from yesterday, and then we kind of pushed through this and went to 48. So I'm watching this really quickly out the gates here to see if I take some profits above the 48s to the 489s, but we're looking really good here in Humana. One stock that I'd be looking for to kind of get maybe a red to green move is Cigna. So we'll see what happens on that one. That one did report today. I don't know if you got through that report, Nick, but that's definitely one that's on my radar today. All my trades, at least swings, are in the green here. XOM, BJ in the green. So at least from my outlook right now, I'm looking fine. I'm really focusing on the sectors today. Consumer defensive is leading. That's the area that I could see going up today. Names getting hit right now. You're seeing industrials, energy. Industrials is an area that I would probably be betting on the downside also, at least for me right now. And so I could see stocks like Deere and Cat pull back big there. I'm about to get 489 here on Humana, so I want to get ready to sell at least half of my position here above. So I'm going on the offer right now. Offers 489.86 here. Let's see if I can get the last little pop here and then get some sold. Boom, just got some there. There we go. Nice little sell there on Humana. First little pop here. Just took majority of it off now. Now can leave the remainder here for the 500 move. And so from here on out, I can go break even 481 on the rest, 481.18s, 481.20s, and then boom, just look for this to keep working. Good trade here in Humana to start it off, guys. Of course, swing trade action, which I'm trying to just do more of, right? And be in the right areas, be in the right swings. So Cigna looks good for me now. As you see that red to green, right? It just went red. Now I'm going to look for this to go green. I could look for pullbacks to maybe 286 to risk off of 283 right now, but I need some pullback. I'm not going to jump here at 291. It's already up like 7 points from when I was talking about it. So nice little bounce there in Cigna. All right, catching up with you guys in the chat. If you guys have small names today, please remind them to me, because you guys know that's just not up my alley. I don't mind taking a look at them, but it's not something I look at every single morning. I'm hearing multiple names mentioned in the chat, EVGo, some names like that. Hey, you guys let me know. So today what I'll do for you guys is, for you guys that have, like, let's say all those charts out there, we can go to my 6 chart outlook, and I can go ahead and put this up. And even if you want, I can take myself down. So this is like nice and prominent, right in front of you guys. We can talk about trades as we keep going throughout the day. Carnival Cruise Lines actually getting a little bit of a lift today. I'm going to maybe be looking to short Carnival Cruise Lines. Why? Because they're off the support right now. I can see a little bit of a bounce, maybe coming closer towards the 18s and then really kind of fading out from here. So for right now, I'm not jumping in it early because I feel like we could get an early bounce and then eventually a short towards the end of the day. SPY bouncing strong here right now. Q's bouncing strong. So be careful with the shorts out there. I'm sure you're actually seeing upside action right now. And NVIDIA pushing strong to the upside. Take a look to see what stocks are getting the lift. Is Qualcomm coming right back up? We'll see. It's at 117. That took a big hit on its earnings. PayPal, names like that, I'll be keeping an eye on it to see what happens. PayPal going lower there. Shopify's report was pretty good. So that's getting a lift here towards 62.93s. This is actually one that I might be actually looking to get in, even though it's already had a nice little pullback, right? It did get hit already. So I think this one could bounce a little bit today, especially out the gates, because the report wasn't the worst.
For Shopify?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was okay. I mean,
you beat estimates by almost, no, actually, you did beat them by over 100% on EPS. So the EPS outlook is really good. And I think that's all Shopify really needs to show. Profitability. Just show me that you're not working against my EPS. You're working for the earnings per share and going to keep giving me more and more profitability coming to Shopify. And then I see here, gross margins, not the best outlook moving forward, but still moving higher, right? So as long as those things can stay in line, I think Shopify on a long-term basis is one of the stocks that I really like. I'm actually going to talk a little bit more about Shopify coming up on my Twitter space later today at 12 p.m. You guys want to catch that? I'm going to be talking long-term stocks there. I'll tell you guys about how you guys can check that out a little bit later.
Well, I mean, Mitch, yesterday was really a horrible day to report earnings just because of the Fitch rating downgrade. We're in this environment now. It's going to be quite a few days before we can actually see some positivity because everybody is just talking about Fitch. We're still getting some more comments. We got comments from Warren Buffett, Bill Ackman, and, it's just this area why, we're downgrading now, and that's really going to cause some skepticism saying, can this rally be sustained? Are we going to head towards lows now? So there's a lot, and we have Apple and Amazon tonight, and I heard the pre-market prep discussion. Can they save us? We're hoping they can, but there's, they are going to report possibly a steep revenue decline since the lowest in 2016, which may not be able to save us. So tonight is really going to be all hands on deck with Apple, with Amazon, the cloud, AI, what Apple is seeing for the iPhone 15 launch in September, what they see going into Christmas for new iPhones for the demand. So we have a busy tonight. It's going to be busy tonight, and it's going to be packed tonight. Seeing Dan Ives from Wedbush, JP Morgan analyst, seeing all the conference notes and all the analyst notes coming in tonight will really have an impact on Apple and Amazon.
All right, we'll see what happens there. Just keeping a look around, trying to get my Mumu up to maybe take a trade there. Looking at potentially making some trades today. So just got to stay patient here out the gates. Try not to take trades to like 10:30, but I do see LAC mentioned in the chat. That's not a bad one to keep watch. I think that's an interesting one. Of course, ALB, really good earnings there. I talked about it on pre-market prep. Would this get the lithium name started today? I think it does. So keep your eyes on lithium names, PLL, LAC, LTHM, maybe even MP falls into that range, right? So we'll see what happens. That SQM is another one you guys can keep an eye out. That's already pulling back there. ALB has pulled back also. So I'd maybe look to see if ALB first goes red to green. Does it go red and then right back into the green? And then maybe I can come after these lithium names. I'm going to be patient first and then come after them probably a little bit later in the day for some swings, especially if they can look pretty decent on the charts. So for right now, I'm not just instantly jumping into them because I feel like I'm front running it. I want to first see the action kind of follow back on ALB. Of course, it had decent earnings, but it's already back to 205. CYH being mentioned in the chat. That's a cheap boy community health stock. That one, actually, I've seen this one move with THC. So THC is a more expensive stock there, but I think they run side by side. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm going to be looking to see what happens there. That's actually not a bad little lift there above the 467, but this stock has a tendency of not moving so much on pops. So you can see maybe it has like a $2 pop potential on the biggest pop that I've seen on the daily. But this does look like it's trying to fill some of the gap, right? You guys can see this huge gap here on the chart. Can it fill some of this gap? Yeah, it could fill some of that gap. So it's up there towards 486. Got a nice lift above the 471 spot today. So 471 on pullbacks looks good. That's a daily resistance that could be acting as support now. We'll see what happens there on CYH.
Chat's talking about Roku, they say, coming back after Citi downgrade to neutral. Pre-market prep, I also heard this conversation. What did Dennis say? Like a lot of downgrades within the past 24 hours. I think his whole Benzinga Pro just had a list of downgrades. There is some optimism, like Qualcomm, Morgan Stanley raising their price target on Qualcomm. I think they go to 129 from 125. They go to 129 from 125 on Qualcomm. But in general, I think Dennis, and I even wrote it down, Mitch, quote, profit-taking mode. That's from Dennis Dick, pre-market prep co-host. He says, this is the mode we're in.
All right, put myself on mute there. Roku is one of those classic stories where the analysts are just chasing guys. So just be careful about listening to analysts, especially in an environment when you feel like they're chasing the whole time. They were chasing on the way up. Now they're chasing on the way down. And so one thing is, we talked about it on pre-market prep. Did the analysts hit the panic button today a little bit too early? They probably did. So just be careful out there. And this is why I think we're seeing also bounces here out the open. That's just how the market is a lot of the time. So we'll see what happens in a little bit to see if this can actually continue a trend back to the upside. And that's why you're seeing maybe some pops on Roku short-lived. What I would keep watch on is hourly charts. Do we just come back to prior support and create resistance there? Those are the kind of things that I'm looking at to show me, is this just a pop into resistance and then it fails? Things like that, be careful with. Oh, and momentum names today, be careful, guys. Like, I really do think that some of these momentum names could take a hit today. Carvana is looking a little bit better, but let's say like an Upstart, I would be careful with a name like this, especially on this little pop there towards like 68. This looks like a little bit of a trap. I actually feel like shorting off of 69s right now on Upstart because I don't think this is going anywhere near that today. I think this could be coming down pretty quickly here. And momentum names, I have a feeling that they might crack. But that's just the way I feel. Like always, you guys take everything what I say with a grain of salt, and we'll see what happens today. As Upstart is getting a little bit of an up action here, we'll see if it gets to 69 today. But nice little pop out the gates, right? Will we see the reversal come in today on some of these momentum names? All right. Humana now moving at pullback towards the VWAP. So we got up there towards a high of 491.83s, pulled back here towards 480.76. I didn't get out there because I could see kind of the wick action. Now it's back up to 486. So now I'm definitely going to go ahead and just set the stop here no matter what. If it does go below that level of 481s, or even if it's in between that level, I'm just getting out now.
I mean, Mitch, what do you think of the oil stocks like Chevron, ExxonMobil? What is this with this Saudi Arabia news and Russia news, basically this voluntary oil cut? I mean, gas prices are spiking again, and that's a plain risk for commodity prices spiking for inflation to go higher.
Yeah, I think one thing you got to be looking at now is understanding just overall that oil tried to make a move above 82. 82 is the resistance that I see on WTI. You guys can see that on the monthly charts. And you're going to see that overall, if oil cannot get above 82s, I don't think these oil stocks continue to rip. But if we could get oil to go to 85, 89, $90 a barrel again, then yes, you'll see these oil stocks continue to rip to the upside. So that's what I'm watching for now. I've already taken some bets on the upside on oil, downside on oil this year, and I've been on the upside as of late. But recently, just yesterday, I took profits in PXD for a reason. What was that reason? The resistance that I clearly see on WTI. So I've already gotten a nice gain on PXD. I took the money off. Now I see XOM. I've set some stop. No matter what, I'm going to take a profit. But if XOM can't get above, let's say 107 today, 108s, I think it might break the 104.50s on the downside. And I don't want nothing to do with the stock if it breaks 104.50 now. And then you could see what? You could see the flip. You could see me flip and go right back to short oil. And that's the one thing that I'll tell you right now, guys, I've been doing a lot better of, is being a little bit more nimble on that action and being willing to flip mentalities. You have to be a trader. Traders, what they do, they trade, baby. They focus on the price action. They're not worried about, oh, is someone going to be worried about calling me a bull or bear tomorrow? Well, guess what? I'm both. I'm playing the way that makes me money, and that's what matters most.
All right, Mitch, I'm going out on a limb here. I'm supposed to issue a call here on live trading at the beginning of August. I kind of forgot. I think the S&P for this year, 2023, will end at 49.50. The reason I say that, I think the Fed is either going to have another hike or two and they're going to be done. Inflation is going to fall to around 2.5%. I'm going to say 2.5% inflation ends 2023. I think commodity prices are going to subdue. They're going to come down. Gas prices are going to come down. They're going to remain lower for the rest of 2023. 49.25, I think the S&P 500 ends at 2023. And I'm not changing it. I'm not going to change it again. We're just going to remember that. And then when the last trading day of December we're going to revisit this episode. We're going to say, hey, Nick Brown said 49.25, and we'll see where we're at, and we'll see what I could have done better, what I did wrong, and we'll see. And I'll issue another call for 2024. I'll do it a call through July, and then I'll do July through December. But this time we're doing an August to December call. So 49.25, I think, is where the S&P ends.
We'll see what happens there. Tesla coming back today, and we're getting some stocks to really start lifting here. And this is just classic, right? I mean, you come in, everyone's talking about, oh, the market's coming down, everything's red, everything's horrible in the world. But the market's going up today, right? This is what I always talk about with Nick Brown sometimes, even in the pre-show. And I talked to Nick about how a lot of times it's psychology that moves the market more than the actual action itself, right? Certain stocks this morning were getting hit just because it was a bad day to report. But that doesn't mean it's going to have a bad day in the intraday market, right? And so right now you're seeing certain stocks like that lift, and we'll see if they can continue to push. Shop having a decent day already, right? It's at least from the open had a pretty decent action, right? So we got to keep looking at stocks like that. I thought it was a pretty good report on MGM today. We got a pop and then a drop here today. So just be careful there. I'm looking for MGM pullback down towards like 40. If we can get MGM or 42, 40 back down there, I'll take a shot on MGM on pullbacks there. And with that being said, I'm looking also to see Caesars pull back now towards like 50. And if you wanted to take a look at maybe like Wynn pulling back also, I could see that maybe pulling back underneath the 100, eventually coming back towards like 90. But I actually see that as maybe a potentially buy because I saw the Macau numbers, or at least the China numbers from MGM, and they were pretty massive.
You know, China and sports betting, I believe, when does DraftKings report earnings? They're tonight, right?
DraftKings is coming up, right?
It is going to be very interesting to see how DraftKings compared to MGM, to Caesars with sports betting. You know, we're in this environment where I believe we're trying to, like, sports betting is trying to get better. And, you know, there's going to be more Thursday night football games, I think, this year. And that could really have an impact on sports betting, on if more people are betting on a Thursday night compared to a Sunday afternoon, Sunday night game, or like what's the seasonality around it? There's so many questions for sports betting. I'm not educated in sports betting, but I would really love to learn more about sports betting just because it's a very interesting area to hear when people say, oh, I'm going to sports bet on tonight's game. Why wouldn't they bet on a Sunday night game? Or if they're just betting one night a week? Like, I want to hear more and be more educated about sports betting. Even though I'm not going to do it, but I just want to know and get in and get familiar with it.
All right, THC going higher here, and that looks good for your CYH, and CYH going to 511s now, so that doesn't look too bad there. Your community health system stock not doing too bad there. Let's go to the main chart here. Let me check some sector outlook here for us, as Hendrix is a little bit in my way, but I got him out. Technology back into the green. Wouldn't you know it, guys? And getting a nice little uplift after a down gap. And so what does this show us? That, yeah, we're able to bounce back, right? Look at the action in NVIDIA. Is this a hard stock to short or what? This is why if I was shorting NVIDIA, I'd have to get a pop towards like 450, 455 for me to get short. And you got to be careful shorting NVIDIA off support because it can bounce wickedly right back up. And so you see that wicked bounce today up there to 446.50s. If you were short this even just yesterday on some of that action, you're seeing it come right back to you. And you're like, man, I was just up 5 or 6% on NVIDIA. Well, now you're right back to your entry, right? And so that's where you got to be careful. This market, I feel like when I've been shorting, I've had to take quick gains, like just that same day, maybe the next day right before in the pre-market. But other than that, a lot of times I get these bounces back right to my entry.
What do you think of Qualcomm? Who would you pick between Qualcomm, AMD, and NVIDIA?
Well, to tell you the truth, long term, I think Qualcomm will be okay. And I think that they just literally just reported on the wrong day. And that's just really destroying them because they were on a nice little uptrend here. But another thing that I'm starting to see that is a trend, right? I'm starting to see that all these AI kind of candidates, right? Where are we seeing the numbers given? We're not seeing the numbers given right now, right? We're hearing just outlooks on AI. A whole bunch of not the bottom line showing up, right? And a whole bunch of just, oh, we're getting a lot of orders and things like that. But I want to see the bottom line. I think Microsoft shook the whole market up when it said, hey guys, AI is going to be a driver to revenue, but right now it's not moving the needle. That's pretty much what they gave us. And if it's not moving the needle, should stocks have gotten this huge lift? That's what you need to be asking yourself, right? That's where you think either is bubble popped or bubble not. Microsoft bouncing back today, and that's where I feel like some traders are maybe looking like to swing long today. I cannot do that. Even though I feel like Amazon report can do well, I don't know too much about Apple's report tonight. That's going to be a little bit scary. I know Amazon can talk about AI and maybe push it higher, but will it also mention revenue outlooks on these AI products, right? That's what I actually want to see. I want to see, does it show up at the bottom line? Or are we just still talking about it like we talked about the metaverse, right? Where we were like, metaverse this, metaverse that. Freaking Facebook changed its name. And now do you hear them talking about the metaverse?
Not really.
Not really, right?
Not
really
really.
Quickly.
Or recession.
Up,
or
right?
recession. That's another one. I don't hear much about a recession anymore either.
Yeah. So we'll see what
happens. Are you in the metaverse?
Too.
Do you believe in that stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I do believe in that stuff in the long term, right? But the key here is that there's always waves to technology. And that's what I've talked about all the time. We need to understand that the waves of technologies are going to come in and out of favor. For me, I think AI is also one of these waves where it's just come in. Now you got a lot of early adopters. Now you're going to have a lot of building in AI. And 2 or 3 years, I think we get another AI kind of bubble.
Oh, here we go. AI talk.
The truth is that bubbles come and go, Nick. In this environment, haven't you seen it? Remember 2021? That was a bubble, man. I don't care what anybody wants to talk about it. It was a Fed-induced bubble, though. That had the Fed background. That had the we're stopping this market at all costs. We're going to push this market back up. We will do push-ups all day. We will print. We will get those printers going burr, as they say. And they made this market go back up. That's why comments when we were in the banking concerns, Nick, like let's say you saw certain comments from even Yellen saying that we would backstop things. When the government says they're going to backstop something, that's when I start believing it. Because a lot of the times it's either going to be what? Either the government just completely gets destroyed and we don't even have a US government anymore, or they actually do step in and do whatever they need. If, like in this case, the Fed was making new products and things like that, new tools so that it could help these banks out. Things like this, we need to be quick on. Instead of thinking about panic, think about opportunity. Think about how much opportunity you had with everyone yelling panic on the street about the banks. You could have been buying at that opportunity
or recession
and taking a huge, huge gain into this year. So the noise out there, be careful with what noise you listen to and what noise you don't. Let's keep going back to the trading action. Let's get back. We'll talk a little bit about
threes. Things come in trios. We had people talking about the banking, that they were worried about the banking sector. They were worried about recession. And now we're all worried about AI.
You know how it is. All right, so let's go to the leading stocks on the upside on the SPY today. So you got Moderna leading to the upside. You got CEG. That's a utility stock. Clorox continuing higher after a huge day yesterday already and a huge lift off the earnings, right? I mean, huge lift off that earnings. I mean, this is actually incredible to see that continue to lift there. AMD coming right back. And this is just how it goes, right? And so yesterday, people got wiped out on AMD. Now AMD wants to come back. Just it's how it happens sometimes, team. Would this be a stock that I'd be trying to grab today? No. I'm not trying to grab this stock after it puts that bearish red candle in. But hey, to each his own, right? We'll see what happens there. Hasbro getting a little bit of a lift there. Recent mentions, of course, of their magic card and how that could give them the lift was pushing them higher. Now they're up there towards 68 today.
They had earnings this morning.
I don't know. This is one I trust in, but let me know how those earnings did. How did they do?
EPS missed 49 cents. Estimates for 58 cents. Sells 1.21 billion, estimates for 1.11 billion. They see revenue decline of 3 to 6%, driven by entertainment segment. Increases Wizards of the Coast segment guidance to up high single digits.
All right, guys, getting to the point where I'm going to maybe try to short Carnival. Of course, I want to short it off of 18s, but we're really close to that level now. Big reason for me is that I'm seeing this kind of daily candle come back. And so you see this 9 EMA. A lot of times when I see this stock go like below and then come back above, I never want to see this type of action, the wipe out right back, because essentially this stock has already made 3 attempts to go towards this resistance. So you see about here, it's a nice little pullback, has pulled back into this space. So I'm going to look to see if maybe we reject here around the 18s. I can risk right off of the 18.15 levels, so risk about 15 cents for a move right back down about 60 cents to the support, and then about a whole buck down for the nice little breakdown through 17. So that's what I'm going to be looking for, a move back down towards like 15 eventually on Carnival. I could see it coming back, especially towards 16 resistance, the next layer. We'll see what happens on this one as it is coming back on the day. I still needed to get to 18 though. I can short here 17.90 and maybe take a starter and then add above 18s, but I'm going to be patient here because the market still hasn't flipped right back down, and I can see the market continuing to push for a little bit before that happens. So you can see how we are actually pretty strong right now. All right, how the heck does Bud beat on EPS and earnings? It's easy, man. It's earnings per share, right? Remember, the stock was already getting beaten down beforehand. So if the stock price goes from 66 down to 54 and then down towards like 56 here before the earnings, you got to remember that, right? That's already priced in. And so the market had already priced in a lot of these earnings. So the earnings weren't that bad versus the expectations that were already what? In the gutter. Crow saying EV Go. There you go. EV Go is definitely one to watch. This is a nice little pullback. I actually won't mind watching this one on, this one's actually pretty interesting here. Thanks for the mention, Crow. I actually like this one here. EV Go today could get one more lift off, I think, towards maybe 6. I would sell it in 6, my personal opinion, but I might take a little bit of a day trade action here on Mumu. actually doesn't look too bad, even though I do want to kind of do a little bit more of a swing trade action here. So that's where it gets a little bit difficult here, but I do like it. I'm just a little late to the game. I'm going to watch it here, but it looks interesting here for it to come back up towards the 550s and make a move towards like 580s. 587's been the resistance. It got up there towards 595 earlier. Of course, good report coming in on this one, but already filled the gap. So just be careful with that because it did fill the gap at 554. So it could have just been a gap fill move, and it could be a little bit of a trick to the upside. I still like these names, but hey, we'll see if it takes that lift. Run going back up there. Solar names are getting a lift today, but I feel like this is really a trap. Just be careful because what I've seen in the industry is really bad. What SEDG gave us and what ENPH told us makes me really scared about the industry overall. So I'm not buying this at all. Run could go like 40% and I won't buy it today. For day trade action, you can buy anything, but the truth is it could always flip. So be careful, guys, because it seems like we're getting a little bit of a pop. All right, let's keep looking around, guys. It's going to be one of those days where you're definitely seeing a little bit of a lift. That's the only thing is, will it be able to hang on?
No, we're waiting for Apple and Amazon tonight. And I believe, I was going to say, Mitch, I do have expectations for them because I thought it was interesting. Apple, here's an Apple preview. EPS is expected for $1.09. Revenue $72.24 billion. And Amazon EPS is expected 34 cents and revenue $131.54 billion. If I remember correctly, and I was looking this up this morning, I think Apple missed revenue expectations a few quarters ago. I think 2 or 3 quarters ago, they missed just a bit. But I don't know if Apple and Amazon can save us tonight. I think if they report in line or better than expectations and they give decent guidance, I think that can save us. But I think if they miss on revenue and they just they just don't give good guidance or they don't give guidance at all, I really think that could hurt both companies. But remember, we have Amazon with AWS, we have cloud, and then we have Apple. We have the iPhone 15. What the machine powered learning is, that's what they call their AI. I know Apple has not mentioned AI significantly at all. I think 0 to 4 times they've mentioned. I think 2 times for their event in June, and then nothing else on the conference call or anything else regarding AI. I believe they call it their machine-powered learning.
All right, let's keep going. We'll see what else is out there. Not go out on EVgo. All right, so Crow not saying EVgo for me now as that pulls right back down. And so just be careful out there, team. It seems like one of those days where we could see a little bit of a trick. I'm going to let CCL do one more push here, try to get towards that 18, and then I'm going to start trying to get short on this. Also could be looking at like maybe SOX S today as it pulls back towards the 937s. I could see it going back there towards the 960s. It is pulling back on an hourly basis on a trend line. So can look for kind of things like that to pull back into, but that could get us back there towards 928 first. So we'll see if it comes back to that action, 928. SQQQs are at the 826 pullback. That seems to make sense if it can come back towards like 1806 to me, 1810s. That doesn't look too bad. Of course, yesterday we were talking about how it made sense for an 1804 move and then expansion move above. This morning it opened at 1851. We'll look to see if it gets back up there later in the day. NVIDIA is still pushing towards the upside. We'll look to see if it comes right back down. Apple just hanging in there. Apple just shows me that this market might come right back down. It's not ripping to the upside today. It's hanging out like they want to like hit it on the short side. All right, now we're starting to see a little bit of a turnaround there. So already thinking about getting a starter here in CCL. I'm going to try to get a starter on the short side here. All right, so I got some there at 1783s, and I'm going to look for a nice little push here towards the 18s to add, but going a little bit short here. That's another one that I could go short too, which is Disney. That's just the one I feel like I could see it break down. Nothing good in this stock for me. I think this thing could go down back to 80s. But I'm going to leave it alone because that's going to be a little bit more of a trade that if I talk too much about it, I already see my Twitter buzzing on it. So I don't want to talk too much about that one right now. We'll see some other ones. Lodging is another area I think you can go shorting today. Hilton, look at that already getting smacked. I talked about this on pre-market prep. That's already getting hit hard there. Hyatt getting hit. Marriott's one that I think could get hit also today, right back down to 200s. And you see it. It went down already below 200s. I think this could leak out some more. Airbnb, watch out on that one. I think that one's also another one that could continue leaking. And this was all based on Expedia's disaster report getting hit harder. Booking, also a short opportunity off of this. It already took a hit there in the pre-market, but I could see it taking another hit there. Just watch out there, guys. Humana, let's go. Let's see if I can get that push above the 490s today. What happened with AHI? Nick, can you find out what happened with that?
I can. Let me go to Benzinga Pro.
Take your time, you know. Nothing you need to give us immediately, but just looking to see what you're seeing out there. All right, if you guys are looking for smaller names that are making moves, I see AMTX, SNMP. Just looking around to see what's making a move there, but I don't see too much in the smaller names.
Regarding AHI, Mitch, the only thing I could see that they yesterday in the morning, they says that Advanced Health Intelligence to re-enter China with an exclusive license deal with Changlin Network Technology. That was yesterday. Then minutes after that, it got halted. Then stock was unhalted, then unhalted again. And then it was up today, or it was up yesterday evening, just because the company announced its binding exclusive deal with Shanghai. And then this morning at 5:33, it was halted. And then at 5:59 this morning, it was halted again, pending news. So this is another one of those halt fests.
All right, AMD back up to 113. This seems like some resistance here for me. I think you could see this coming right back down. So I'm actually looking at that SOX type of trade. I think that's an interesting outlook there. It's already coming back here to 946. I'm going to look for one more attempted pullback here. A lot of times I've seen SOXL do a little bit of a pullback and then catch the lift, but it's already had a nice little hourly pullback here to 936 today, but didn't fill the gap. And that's where I get a little bit wary about SOXS not filling the gap. So SQQQs, it's another good way maybe to look at this, see if I can go after that one. Another one, an interesting outlook could be maybe a Tesla short, but not really Tesla, not Tesla short, an NVIDIA short, but with kind of the other name. What's the inverse Tesla NVIDIA name? I think it's NQLS. I forgot it, man. I got to go ahead and look it up. These are the smaller ETFs that don't have much volume, but I could go about them in my Moomoo account. It is, I'm looking it up right now. I forgot it, man. What was it? There it is. This Axis one.
Everybody's talking about yellow again in the chat.
NVDS, that's what it is.
Yep, yellow's
Thank you,
trading higher, Mitch.
NVDS, I kind of like it. Here.
Yellow is halted currently, up 18% at $3.86.
All right, I'm looking at NVDS to maybe take a shot here. Just trying to calculate my risk right now. Okay, so it's about 20-cent risk there right now. Okay, how much can I get? I can get up to 81 shares, which is actually a pretty good amount. So just got to be careful here. Got to go about it really slow first. So I'm going to go about it probably about 15 cents. Look to see if I can get another move back down. Attempt to go towards 780s is what I'm looking for. An attempt to go right back down there, break it, and then come right back up to VWAP. So I'm going to look for a little bit of a pullback here to 780s. I can see a lot of volume at 783. So I want to see that get filled, 16,000 shares there. And then you see a lot of sell volume up there towards 92s. So it needs to get through that 92s and 8s when it's coming back. But I'm going to look for a little bit of a cut down through that 83, come into 80s, then coming right back up on a quick sweep. So also for NVIDIA, the way that I'm looking at this is that 450s should act as a little bit of resistance here. I could see it maybe wicking through right now and then gets hit. And so I'm watching that. I've talked about it earlier. The only way I'd short NVIDIA is off 450s. So this is another way to go about it. I could wait for NVIDIA at 450s and short off of that. But for like the small account challenge, I think it makes more sense for me to go about it with this access kind of bearish leverage. But we'll see what happens. And NVIDIA doesn't report until the end of the month. So that actually helps us because it's not going to surprise to the upside. Run almost 31,000 call options. Man, they're just kind of swinging that back to the upside. Paul C, it's, I mean, the thing is that at least, so this one's pretty liquid. This NVDIS, at least, like there's not a lot of shares traded right now, but overall, I see a lot of volume on here that I can get in and out of. So I see a lot of volume right there. As long as I'm not trading like thousands and thousands of shares, I think it's still looking pretty decent that I could get in it. But I hear you on that. You got to be careful with the ETFs. Certain ETFs are pretty hard to trade. PayPal. Yeah, PayPal does not look good. Square does not look good. Not names that I'd want to be in anymore.
Okay, I was going to say yellow is unhalted. It is coming down just a little bit at $3.80 now, up 16%. We'll see where this goes. Tupperware, Mitch, they're down today, down 7%, $3.42. But what do you make of this yellow story, this bankruptcy? How can you just keep buying and buying? How can a bankruptcy stock just keep going up where, you know, in the long term, it's going to be nothing?
Because stocks don't go to zero a lot of the times. What do? They go to the pinks, Nick. So this is what you got to remember. Remember what happened to Hertz, right? When it tried to go bankrupt, right? What happened to it? It popped and then eventually went to the pinks. This is the hard part of what's dealing with bankruptcy. Bankruptcy like calls are not necessarily like where a lot of short traders make money. They make money ahead of what? Just ridiculous evaluations. Like, let's say if you went shorting Beyond Meat at like 200, like I was usually talking about for a long time. But look, I even have horizontal lines up there that were created in 2020. So I'm not bullshit talking here. But like Beyond Meat was it like a perfect case. Yeah. Shorters that shorted when this thing IPO'd at like 180, 200 and rode it all the way down here to 15. Are they going to ride it down when Beyond Meat mentions bankruptcy mentions? And I think it eventually does. Just my outlook. Nothing that they've said. But I think in the long run, you'll see that. And what will happen? They'll sell out on that call out, Nick, a lot of the times. Because the truth is there's not much more money there to get. And I think that that's what happens to a lot of these stocks like Yell. They were already shorting it on the way down here. Like when this stock popped probably at 8, they were like, oh, give me this gift. And then the stock went right back down to the $3. And they were probably already getting out. That's why you probably got this pop to 4 after the stock went through 3. Because some volume probably sold out of that and covered and giving it a little bit of a pop. And then it dropped some more. So this is the stock that once it gets to $1, what are you going to make on the downside, Nick? $1.
But why would you even want to trade a bankruptcy stock?
This is the key, Nick. So like, okay, we talk about psychology today, and we're going to do a little bit more learning lessons today than just straight trading, guys. Normally we're just focused on straight trading. Why not? Let's do a little learning lesson, right? So Nick can also learn from this because he's a younger trader and hasn't seen too much of this action. So what happens here is this. So, okay. So like I just told you, if there's only one positive dollar to go after when it's at $1, right? Then the stock went down to 50 cents before this even actually happened. So then now there was only 50 cents left on the bottom side. So what ends up happening is the short traders get out of this trade as they start hearing bankruptcy mentions because there's not much more to get there. So the shorts are all out and no one wants to come in here and really short this thing because there's not much to make on the downside. There's just a whole bunch of infinite risk to the upside. And so what ends up happening is the shorts don't really come after this and the algos come after this. They notice that. They see that there's no really short coming in here. And then they just start scooping up the shares. They start scooping. And then what ends up happening is institutional algorithms are kind of taking over here and really starting to drive this stock higher. And then a lot of people think now what? Well, this stock really isn't going to come down a little bit because maybe there's going to be shorters eventually that come into yell if it gets completely crazy. But there's not too many people that are going to take big risk here on a stock like this. So if anything, it can still get the push up and then eventually disappear on the pink sheets. And then when it disappears on the pink sheets, that's when you start seeing the trickle down. And you're like, well, what the hell? Well, the truth is, it's not the logical move that matters here. It's the psychology of how traders are looking at this that's going to matter in yell. And you're seeing it here. I wouldn't come shorting this stock at all, even though it's up at $4 and shouldn't be, let's say, probably past $2. Let's just be honest.
So would you say that those people that trade like that are smart? How would you classify them? Are those the riskier more traders?
They're momentum traders, Nick, and momentum traders make and lose money, and it's a crap ton. Those are the chat rooms. You guys can go check them out. Timothy Sykes, Warrior Trading, names like that. I've been in their chat rooms, so I can talk about them. So they can always call me. I've been in their chat rooms. I know exactly what they do. I've traded with them. I've traded with Cameron Ross before, right? So I know exactly what these names do. These are momentum names, momentum traders. Momentum traders make a lot and lose a lot. So you have to be very, very careful. But these are the types of stocks that also can make you a crap ton on the upside, because the instant thought is what you're thinking. How the hell is it going up? It's bankrupt. Well, the truth is there's a reverse psychology here that's coming into play.
Again, write that book, Mitch. There. Write the book.
The truth is that if you would read that, you'd probably be like, well, then that doesn't make sense. And how does the market work? The truth is the market doesn't work one way. It works more in the current environment. In the current environment, Yell can rip. In certain environments, let's say when we were like in the bear market, Nick, and things like that, if this stock would have mentioned bankruptcy in the bear market, oh, it wouldn't have moved a freaking penny. At least I would feel like it.
I just know I'm not trading it. And even if I was trading stocks and buying stuff, I would not trade Yellow. I would not trade Tupperware. I would stay away from names that I have no clue how you would trade them. And I would stick to big tech names, Apple, Amazon, Netflix, Qualcomm, NVIDIA, AMD, Microsoft. I would stick to the big names that make sense and that I understand and can really trade and watch and be careful on them. But Tupperware, Yellow, I'm staying far away. And you're probably in the same boat, right, Mitch?
Yeah, I think you got to stay away now. You got to be careful with those names too. They could eventually crumble. Tupperware is a little bit of a different case too. But another thing, were shortest present when this stock was at 61 cents, Nick? Probably not.
No.
There's not much upside anymore. They start to get out. They start to cover. Because the truth is, when this stock goes to $1, I'll tell you right now, anybody that's a classic shorter knows that this stock can start squeezing. So you got to be careful on things like that. All right. So one thing that I would point out here is I am stepping up to the plate on Carnival Cruise. I added there. So I'm going to start taking a bigger step up there. I'm seeing the Qs start coming back down, right? So I think we could get a little bit of a bounce here, but I think it's going to start really starting to get hit here. So I'm even looking at, remember the Moo trade that I was talking about on NVDS. So I'm thinking about taking a shot on this as NVIDIA starts coming down here. I have to step up towards like the 85s now if I want to take it. I'm looking at it right now.
Mitch, we are getting some comments from Bank of America Chairman and CEO Brian Moynihan right now. He's currently speaking on Bloomberg TV, and his remarks are basically saying that consumers are spending more as they did in 2017, 2019. He says lending conditions are tighter following the Fed interest rate hikes, but inflation is coming down. And he says consumer spending slowed down somewhat in July to around 5% in July. But basically, these are the comments that he has been making for quite some time now, that he's been reiterating, that he says that the consumer is holding up better than expected, that, you know, we are seeing these lending conditions are tighter, and that's expected. But he says the consumer spending slowed down somewhat in July. That is relatively new to his thinking, that saying that spending was somewhat down in July. But overall, Mitch, we know, I know, you know, that consumers are still spending, and we've seen that in a lot of these stocks in like retail, Target. People are continuing to spend in Target and Walmart and Home Depot, buying the new electronics, buying new hair and makeup and Elf Beauty. We saw that yesterday. We've seen that quite some time, and I don't think it's going to let up anytime soon. Look, before even the show, you saw me. I was trying to fix my hair before I come on here.
It's how it goes, man. EVgo trying to set up and keep going, guys. We'll see what happens on that one. That one's at 520s. Will it reject and come right below fives? VRM has even made it way off the ground. And for a second there, a lot of people thought Vroom was going to disappear. What happened here, guys? It's a classic story. If you don't want to be short stocks when the current environment starts changing to what? Looking for short interest stocks that are rising. So, but look what happened to like QS. I know it did do an offering, but stocks like this are good examples that it could come right back down really fast. Be careful out there, team. Upstart. That's one I'm looking at potentially to short here. I'm going to take a little bit of a shot here. Just recently got right back above 68. So I'm looking to see if I can get 68s here. Would like to do like one more move here and then fail. So I'm going to look for that. For one more attempt here to go towards like 68, 68.50s, fail that, and then come back through the 68s. Then I could risk off 69 here for upstart on a short. Don't have anything just yet for it, but taking a look at it. Humana, I want to see this keep going, guys. If it starts to cut down there, we're going to get out of this one. And we've already taken some good profits on it. I could take more profits on it. The one that's doing really well for me is BJ's Wholesales Club. And I'm actually going to be going there on Saturday. You guys know how I adjust. I'll do some boots on the ground outlook there at my local BJ Wholesales Club. I've been talking about how I've been looking for this to fill the gap for a while now, guys. I drew this line on July 5th. So it's not like this is a new outlook, Nick. You know what I mean? Like there's so many times where like people give an outlook and they're like, well, you gave this like yesterday, bro. Like don't pat yourself on the back, right? Like I've been talking about this from July 5th, guys. It's hard to stay with a stock for like over a month and talk about a move, but look at the rise, right? Look at what I'm getting there. And why am I going after BJ's Wholesales Club? Because Costco made the huge move, Walmart towards the upside. Those are the type of stocks that I look at to give me a little bit more reading that, yeah, we could go a little bit up on those names. So BJ's has been a good name. I'm up about 5.5% on this position. Looking for a little bit more, but man, it's already given me a lot here. If I can get into the 68s today, I'll take another piece off.
Again, when are you writing the book that we're all going to buy, that it's going to be the #1 Amazon seller, New York Times bestseller?
It's coming, man. You know, one of my things, Nick Brown, is, I think time's on my side, Kramer. That's all I got to say. Time is on my side, Kramer. I'm coming for you one day, baby. Money, Mitch.
Yes, Money
That's
Mitch,
all I
the
gotta say.
new Jim Kramer.
One day, Nick. Pinkies up, baby.
Someone in the chat says where they live, Georgia. They said gas prices are going up, and I can echo that myself. Mitch, I don't know. Do you live near a gas station? Like if you walk right outside, you can see one?
Yeah.
Are you seeing gas prices ticking up a little bit?
Let me take a look here. Let's go to WTI. That's what I always look at.
And yes, WTI is higher because we got that Russia news and Saudi Arabia news. But
look where it spiked to. That's an important outlook, right? So one thing that you want to be looking at is where's the resistance? And I talked about this already. Talked about this earlier today. Exactly. And then what you want to do is you want to look at like a 1-year chart or you can do like a year-to-date chart, and this is going to show it like so easily, guys. Let me pull one up here for you guys. I can do that with Mumu. Just got to share my other chart here. But XOM looking good here, and that's why I wanted to come to it, because I'm even thinking about taking a shot on Chevron today. So I'm going to go ahead and take a shot here off the 159 on Chevron. It looks good. I've already taken a shot earlier this week, and I lost on there. So I'm taking a starter here at 160.27. And then I'll do pullback buy in the 159s, like the upper 159s, like let's say 159.70, 159.80s. That's where I want to add if it comes back towards that level. But looking for Chevron now to start making a move up. I just took a little piece there. And why? Because I've been looking to see oil kind of hold that 104 pullback, right? 104.50 pullback. So now I know the levels. It's going to be like a go or no go trade on me on Chevron today. So Chevron's a new position. XOM's the one I already have. They could both be closed by the end of the day, depending on how the action goes today. All right. So Carnival Cruise Lines looking good, guys. Oh, I think I nailed that one, guys. On the short side, look at this. Nice little up action. It looks bullish all day. Now starting to get whacked. I have average at 1782. The high today, 1790. Let's do this. Let's go. I'm going short the cruises now. Instead of long the cruises, I'm going to look to get the pullback, and then I'm going to cover, and then I'll probably flip long on the cruise lines. That's the damn truth. So here you guys have it, and how you can see trades go both sides. I think a lot of traders will start learning a little bit from seeing me be so nimble. You got to be nimble in these trades. Got to be able to flip your mentality. Why did I flip my mentality? I was already thinking that these stocks were extended. Then you give me an Expedia to get hit in leisure. That's this industry. Look at leisure today. Look at lodging. Remember, I talked about this on pre-market prep, and I always like to talk outlooks, like industry-wide outlooks on pre-market prep. And I said, be careful with lodging getting smacked as Expedia gives you this mention. Whereas it's in the consumer cyclical sector. So when you get something massive in that sector, you got to be looking for the industry to get hit and related industries to get hit. Lodging is very closely related to leisure, right? Boom. Downside. TTOO. Ooh, there you go. A nice little spike there and a cheaper name. Is this moving off of news? Maybe take a look there to see if you can find something. TTOO. Penny stock making a lift. All right, let's go around here. Humana, will you give me that lift a little bit higher? I'm thinking about watching this one right now because the 5-minute looks interesting there. Cigna, what's up with Cigna?
Mitch, regarding TTOO, T2 Biosystems, they're trading higher this morning after they recently announced it received an extension to comply with the NASDAQ listing requirements. That's about it.
All right, guys. I never took that NVIDIA bear trade, but it actually looks pretty good as it starts to come down. I'm going to look for a little bit of a bounce there, see if I eventually get a little bit more. But, man, StockS also looked good today. I was looking at that one earlier today. Didn't take it, but missing out on this trade. And I should have taken the trade on Mumu. I was maybe just a little bit, mixed up today. I'm by myself a little bit, so I'm trying to be careful today. Certain days I can, just let Ryan take control for a little bit and really focus on my trade. I don't want to quiet up on you guys today. So I'm going to try my best to just keep looking at the market like Nick and I are doing right now and just trying to keep feeding you guys the information out there. So if you guys have stocks to take a look at, and you guys want me to look at them today, this is a beautiful day to let me know, hey, can you take a look at this stock? Just give me your outlook, Mitch. Like always, take all my levels with some grain of salt, do your own levels, and make your own trading decisions. Because if you don't make your own trading decisions, how are you ever going to build up your decision-making skills? That's the truth.
Do you have any other words of wisdom as I'm filling the page right here to show everybody? I'm filling the page with just notes.
Ooh, there you go, man. That's what it's about, man.
Any words of wisdom? Do your own trading. I have that one down.
Oh, when my number one thing, right? My number one quote, Nick. This is my number one quote that I think saves every trader, and it saved me a lot of times. I don't let one stock make me, and I don't let one stock break me. That would be my first quote in my book. If I did do a book, Nick, that would be right on the cover. Don't ever let one stock make you or break you. Because a lot of people just think about it as one way, right? They think about, I'm not going to let this one stock break me. But the truth is, I don't want one stock to make me either. Because that meant that I put all my eggs in that basket and it turned out great. Well, the truth is, that's like flipping a coin and saying heads or tails, right? We don't know what's going to happen. And if you do know, please tell me, because if you know what happens in the future, then I need to become best friends with you, because nobody else does, man.
No.
So even AI doesn't know what's going to happen in the future. So that's why we try to focus on that. And I think about that all the time in my trading. As long as I think about that, it keeps me sane. It keeps me thinking about that. I don't take trades to just do one trade. I take trades to take like 50, 100 trades, right? Sample size. Think about it. And of course, Nick, if you ever want to read a book when you're in school this year, I think a very good book, of course, is Trading in the Zone by Mark Douglas. It was the first book I gave to the book club to read. And there's a reason why. It's my number one favorite trading book of all time. And it can teach you a lot about how the psychology of trading works versus just like strategy, right? And I think a lot of traders at first need to kind of maybe learn more about the psychology of trading than the actual inner workings, because they first start trying to look at patterns, systems, and thinking things are going to be 100% of the time right. And that's just not the way it works. Shop crazy today. Let's go to that one, Linda. Good mention. Let's take a look at Shop.
I was going to say, I'm trying to finish this book right here, The Trading Desk, a novel by Brad Jinnison on Amazon.
I like it. I like it. I got plenty of books that I could get you, my friend. We'll keep talking about them. All right, looking at Shop, now it's pulled back to 61. And so this is where we got to be a little bit careful. Shop is a little bit of a mixed report, right? It looks really good, but we've also seen this stock already kind of lift off. And I think what's going to happen on Shop today is that it's going to get Amazoned. So it's just all about Amazon with Shop today. So it's hard because Shop could have a bullish day. And then if Amazon gets destroyed on earnings, what's going to happen to Shop? I'll tell you right now, guys, you'll see it get knocked in after hours. So that's where you got to be a little bit careful here with Shop today. And I would be careful with playing it, because the truth is, like, I want to buy that Shop pullback, but I don't know what happens to Amazon tonight. And I can't rely on that it's going to be a positive result, because if I do that, then I'm just asking to put like too much into a trading guessing. I hate to guess on trades. I don't want to guess on trades. So I'm going to stay away from Shop today. Was the report decent? Yes, the report was decent. The pullback action's decent. It's holding about 1 hour pullbacks. On a 5-minute basis, you see bottoming there around 60.50, but not my type of stock to take a trade on. I could see it going to VWAP and then all of a sudden rejecting and then trapping some bulls, but we'll see what happens there. Qs overall starting to come back to VWAP. I want to see if they reject 373s and come right back down. That's where we get our opportunity on pullbacks on Success and the SQQQs, where it's pulling back now to the 1846. We'll see what happens there. NVDS is one right here. This is that attempted pullback for me that I can come after.
Mitch, we're getting a short report from Bear Cave. Can you throw up XP, ticker XP?
Hold on 1 second, man. I'm trying to take a shot here on NVDS. And I'll pull that up in just a second. If you want to share your pro, you
Yeah.
can do that too. And then we can just go about it that way. But just trying to take an extra shot here on NVDS. I put out an order at 783s. It's at 84s on the bid. I want it to come down 1 cent and fill me. I could put 85s here and just risk about 10 cents there. But I'm looking for a little bit more of a hit. Just a quick little wick where it goes 83s by 72s. And then I get filled. And then it comes right back up there. Boom. I'm in there, guys. I just heard it get hit. I'll bring in Moo here so you guys can see this. There you guys see it. 40 shares, 783s. And it's right back up towards, like, now I'm going to look for it not to really break, about 10 cents risk. So just got to be really careful. First things first, always think about risk. So that's about to the 784 mark. So I can do 784 by 783s. Risk about so that'd be the 40 sell there. And I put 84. So let me just fix that. So now just getting prepared on what? If I need to get out, this will be about like a $4 loss. What are my average losses in this account? $4 to $6. What are my average wins now? They're moved up. They've moved up to $16 to $20. So that's actually what more? That's a 4 to 1 outlook and a 5 to 1 outlook. I've been ripping it on Moo account as of late. So I'm going after that same kind of outlook here. So boom, set the stop limit now. And now I'm going to look for this to try to reverse right back to the upside. So I wanted it to come right back to 82 and then go right back up. We're right back to 84. Exactly. So I think I got a really nice pullback buy. Now I'd want to see the Qs reject VWAP and go lower. So I'm going to pull Moo to the right here. I can always go back to this trade. But I just wanted to show you guys that for the small account. We'll see what happens there. Chevron pulling back a little bit here. This is going to give me an opportunity here. I did get an added fill there at 160.03. So now I just got to go ahead and set the risk here on Chevron, which is closer towards that 159. Risk about $1 on this position. A little bit over like $1.03, but hey, that's pretty much $1, right? I'm not going to stress too much about that. I'm going to risk off the 159. Of course, even if I get stopped out in this position, the XOM stop out would take the gains off. So like it would just be kind of a break even for the rest of the oil. So that's why I'm taking a shot too. So it seems interesting. We'll see what happens on Gush to see if it goes above 146 today. That'd be a good outlook. XOM, I'm looking for a move back above 106 towards 107, 108s. We'll see if it continues to climb or not. And now we'll look at the Qs here because the Qs are going to be very vital. Will we kind of reject right back down? If we make a move to like 374, that's where I got to be a little bit careful here. I want to see a rejection come right back down towards the 372s and just test down a little bit lower. Now, do I think this is going to make a huge break? No, I think this could maybe go towards like maybe 370, 370.50s today, maybe 371. That's only about $2 down from the Qs.
Mitch, I showed my chart for XP. That stock is up 1%.
Gotcha.
There's a Bear Cave report out basically highlighting some issues at Bear Cave. So just to give you some background of XP, if people aren't familiar, and I'm citing the Bear Cave report, they say this is a $14.8 billion company. This is a Brazilian investment services company on a mission to, quote, transform the financial markets in Brazil to improve the lives of people in our country, end quote. And they go on to say the Bear Cave believes the XP model is on the brink of implosion with infuriated brokers, a broken sales culture, and meddling management among the company's many problems. This company was founded in 2001, they point out, and they say many lower income clients self-administer financial plans through XP's website, while others use one of XP's 13,000 plus independent financial advisors. And they're talking about how XP earns money through management fees, commissions, rebates, spreads, and other fees charged. So basically, in short, what the Bear Cave is saying, this is, I don't want to say this is a short report, but this also could be classified as a cautious short report. And so in part, quote, the success of XP depends on the success, growth, integrity, and satisfaction of its independent financial advisor network. The Bear Cave has doubts. Take a look at the stock. It got as high on this report when it crossed around 1%. It is around 1% now. It did dip into negative territory, but just watch XP, some cautious comments from the bear cave.
All right, we'll see what happens there, guys. Carvana pulling back. Take a look at it. As we start to see some of these momentum names turn around, and ALB not catching the lift there that it looked like it could have got off the earnings report. It's right back down to 203s. So we'll keep an eye on it. All right, we'll see what else is going on here, team. I'm trying to take a lot of trades here and just focus in here. So NVDS, of course, I'm taking a little bit of a shot there. We'll see if that works out. Of course, I'm taking a little bit of a shot. We'll see if it holds and gets right back above VWAP. I want to see this go to 8 in the next, like, let's say 20 minutes. Watching the Qs do a little bit of a break to the upside, hold the pullback here. Now let's see if it makes the move to 374, or does it come right back down?
Becca wanted me to take a look at Rito Eco Solutions. Those shares are halted on a circuit breaker to the upside, like near 21%. Trading just resumed. Again, I don't know much about this company, but I can tell you, I really can't tell you much, that this is one of these penny stocks, that $1 stocks, $3 stocks that never even heard of. But if you're in it, Becca, good. Make some money from it. I just know that if I was trading, I would stay away because I know absolutely nothing about this company. What about you, Mitch? Do you know anything about this company?
Not a single thing. But
not a single thing. That's how I would put it. I don't know anything.
It's in building materials, which is in a really hot area, right? You're seeing a lot of houses being built right now. So I would focus on stocks like that, but I like to go a little bit higher quality here. BLDR has been one of the best of breeds in this area, and you guys can clearly see this. Look at the daily chart. I mean, yeah, that's best of breed. So look for things like that to pull back, and then look to see if it reloads. CARR was one that I gave recently to kind of keep watch for a continued upside, and it has continued that upside. Of course, Carrier Global, we're talking like kind of the air conditioner company, right? And why is it up? Well, you know it. How's it getting built, right? I mean, they're going to need some HVAC, right? I mean, things like that, right? And so we got to keep an eye out on things like this. Building materials stocks, I think, are a lot of the stocks that you guys can be looking at to maybe could give you continued lift of the houses being built. But if we run into some issues there where houses aren't getting bought, that's where you got to be careful. I think at some point you're going to start seeing that issue. I mean, high interest rates, housing prices not going down. People don't want to let go of houses. There's a big issue there, but I don't know if it's going to actually play in. That's the hard part, guys. All right, let's keep looking around. Let's see what else is going on in the markets right now. Let's go to the SPY. Let's see what happens there. SPY is trying to reject VWAP right now. Financial services are starting to get into the red. That's an area that I could look maybe rejecting today. Goldman Sachs is one area that I could look at maybe for a short. I was looking at this stock to short the other day, and I got caught right off the top of this, guys. So I was trying to get short off the 358, and when the stock started coming back up, Goldman Sachs actually got me out. Then yesterday, this stock took a big hit. Do you see this little spike at the end? This little spike is what got me out. That last little spike on Goldman Sachs right there on that day got me out. And I was like, damn, because the very next day it was already down to 354. This actually looks like it could go right back down. So what I do on stocks like this is I look for 15-minute resistance. I'm looking for bearish patterns coming back to resistance, and I'm trying to short off resistance versus short off support. People that are shorting off support, 349s, are probably seeing bounces. So I'm trying to see if I could get it back there closest towards 352.50s and then short it right back down to 349. We'll see what happens there on Goldman Sachs.
If you had to pick a bank what would you pick, Mitch, between Goldman Bank, Bank of America, Morgan Stanley? Which bank would you pick? JP Morgan?
For what, long or short?
Both. I'll say both.
Okay, so long term, I think SoFi, not a bad one to keep in mind. But it needs to come a little lower. I think it needs to fill this gap completely. Fill my gap, come back down towards like 950s. This one wouldn't be looking too bad. It could come back to like 950s, 925 area. That doesn't look too bad there for SoFi. If I wanted to go shorting stocks, I told you right now, Goldman Sachs seems to me like one of those stocks. I wouldn't short against JPM just because it's best of breed. So I'm like shorting the strongest stock in banking area. Not probably the best way to go about it. Goldman Sachs has a tendency of leading trends right back down. And so you can see it here, right? So like this stock squeeze. But when it actually broke trend, look at that broken trend. Squeeze, comes back up, fights resistance, breaks support, comes back down a pretty good amount, right? When it breaks support, it usually has a tendency of coming down a pretty good amount. So that's what I'm looking at now and thinking about that. So it's a specific trend, right? Hyatt down. Yeah. Look at that. What the hell? I talked about it this morning. I was like, I'm glad I took profits on Hyatt at the top there towards 127s. Look where it's at now, 112s. Whack down as lodging takes a smackdown today. Holy crap, man. I'm glad I got out of that one. Maybe should have flipped and gone short, but I mean, that's also a little bit harder, and I'm trying to do a little bit more of. All right, we'll see what else is going on out there, guys. And I'm not overdoing it, at least, Raz. I'm not taking a million chances. I'm just looking around, right, and showing you guys what's happening here. Energy's still up. That's why I'm betting more on oil and just kind of trying to keep playing those. Chevron right back up. Boom. Looking good in the oil games. So, of course, I'm long in what? I'm long in energy today. Where am I also long? I'm long in some healthcare names that are probably... Let's go to the industry and see how that looks. Healthcare plans are slightly down today. And so I'm long in an area where there's some stocks that are down, but I'm in Humana that's trying to hang on, right? It's a defensive stock. So I'm in a defensive stock. Then I'm shorting Carnival. That looks good for me. At least I was able to get a short there. Chevron, I'm going long. So I'm long an area that's actually doing well today, which is energy. So I'm at least in the right industries and sectors. That's what I feel like. And I'm going for an NVIDIA style short. So we'll see what happens on NVIDIA. If NVIDIA pushes through 450s, they'll probably end up stopping me out. We'll see what happens on there. Q's trying to make that move, trying to make the move back up here. Let's see if it goes to 374 or right back down to 372. Amazon's a good way to watch this because I think like Amazon's the one that I feel like could get the uplift even into today. And so that's a move to 129. Next resistance from here. We'll see what happens on Amazon. That's one that I'm not too negative about, but Apple's just hanging in there, trying to recover 192.50s. We'll see what happens. 191.50s. Let's see what happens there. All right, catching up in the chat. What's going on out there? If you're green, I'm happy. Hey, no worries. I appreciate that, Raz. And at the end of the day, I'm just finding my way to try to play in this moment right now, right? You guys know I don't try to open up too much exposure, but today I'm opening up a little bit more short and trying to stick to the areas that I see going higher. That's what it's all about, guys. We'll see what happens today, guys. It's a tough day, that's for sure. It's one of those days where you're definitely going to be hearing some yelling out there. Sell.
Well, I was going to say, I did have CNBC on before we come on. I mean, I have it on the background, but I heard Kramer talking about Qualcomm, or talking about overall market for earnings, but specifically Qualcomm. And he says yesterday was a horrible data report just because of the Fitch downgrade in the U.S. But he said that he was going to leave it at Qualcomm. He says it was a great quarter, but I'm done talking about it.
That is a classic Kramer move. I'm not going to give you what I'm going to do with Qualcomm until I've already done it. Then I'll tell you a little bit about it later today.
On swing trading, right? 330.
You know it. He's going to hang it on.
Well, you confused me yesterday. You got the notification. It says swing trading live at 3 o'clock.
I had to adjust. The car needed an alignment, guys. And I could only get that alignment done, of course, right at 4 o'clock. And I'm like, come on, guys. That's the
You could have done the show on the road.
He could have done the show at the Firestone.
Yes.
I had to get it done, guys. I'm sorry.
But back to 3:30.
I got all new tires on my car just this weekend, and I didn't have enough time to get the alignment done also because I would have been there for like 9 hours. I was like, yeah, let me just do the alignment later this week. But I'll be back at 3:30 today, guys, and I'm gonna stick to that time. I just also didn't want to leave you guys out yesterday.
Right.
I felt like I had to do a show, man. I mean, it's a pretty important day yesterday.
Plus, we have possibly a new show launching at 3:30, a rebrand, I should say.
All right, guys, looking good now in MVDS. I'm going to look for this to start spiking. I don't want it to even go through the 780s now, really. I'm going to even probably maybe move up my stop a little bit.
Walter in the chat, Mitch, says Qualcomm gets mad respect for their waiting music on their earnings call.
Did you? Yeah, some of the waiting musics are pretty interesting. Let's just say that. Pretty interesting, guys. All right, so I'm just moving up a couple pennies on the stop. So moving it up to like 77. So what am I risking now? I'm risking 6 cents on the name. Nothing, pretty much. And trying to make a good amount, right? Because if NVIDIA could come down today, I think today would be the day that you'd see it let go. Like where people would be like, okay, I might not want NVIDIA right now. Where could NVIDIA could be going to? I can see it maybe going to 420s and then maybe finding some, pullback buyers. As you see the stock, pull back 12%? That would be a 12% pullback from the highs. Qualcomm earnings was good. It wasn't bad. Yesterday's show helped me prevent some major losses today. So thanks, Money Mitch. Well, Raz, hey, power to you, my friend. At the end of the day, you got to call the shots. But there's one thing that I can definitely say is that I'm always going to do one thing, and I'm going to wave the flags when I see them. You guys make the calls. I'm going to be like, hey, we see the turn. We were talking about it on pre-market prep early on yesterday. And then by the time the afternoon came, yeah, it wasn't looking that hot at all. It was looking like the SPY was going to close below the 9 EMA. And I talked about that on pre-market prep yesterday, this light blue line, right? Once we get the stock to actually close below that and look like it wants to go even lower through the support, that's not a good outlook. We were getting towards the 450s yesterday. We closed at 450.88. Not where you want to be closing up, right? Toward way away from the 9 EMA. Told me, there you go. Correction could be right now. Flag it. That's all we can do, right, Crow? Is flag it, man. From that point, you guys got to call the shots. That's like me saying, and it's up to you if you want to listen, guys. You know what I mean? You want to jump on the chopper? You got to let me know.
Someone also in the chat saying Kramer was taking notes during pre-market prep.
Oh, shit. Here we go again.
That's what Kramer's out there. He's like, yeah, he follows it. You know it. There's going to be one interesting report tonight. Definitely. What about the Donkey Kong tonight, baby? DraftKings. We'll see what happens there, but definitely going to be watching DraftKings report. It's going to be important for the sports betting world. Of course, the stock has risen massively since the beginning part of the year, as a top out for the year, about 178% higher. So, were you a big Donkey Kong fan? Heck no. Nick's like, what do you mean? I didn't play no Donkey Kong, man. That was like way beyond my years. Yeah, that was me. That was me, Nick. I was a big Donkey Kong fan. Probably more than Super Mario, to tell you the truth, guys. I used to love that game. It was the first game I got also with the 64 too. So, and I like both.
I'm also a video gamer. Were you a video gamer back when you were little? When you were young?
Really little. Not so much at let's say teenage years. I still played some Call of Duty. I mean, I think everybody played Call of Duty.
Not me.
I was really good at Halo. That was probably like the last like kind of game that I was like really good at. Halo, I knew I was like at one point, I know I was on a team that we like kind of beat like the second best in the state and stuff like that. I used to enjoy that, but I'm a big Super Nintendo and N64 fan. I still have my original Super Nintendos and N64s, a lot of games, and they all work. And they're all mine, like from when I was a kid. That's how you know I really enjoyed those. I took care of them, man.
No, I don't know. Something just got to me. I don't know. I don't like video games. I just like watching movies.
That's cool. That's cool.
Well, wait. Depends on which kind of movies. Me going to see Oppenheimer and Barbie, no. But I'm more of the Hallmark movies and mysteries fans. I don't know if that's going to reveal anything about me, but
no worries, my friend. It's all what you like, man. That's all that matters. Super Nintendo was awesome. Still got mine too, says Walter. Hey, that's what it's all about. Let's go to Tup. Let's take a look at Tup. Tup is at 395 and starting to get a spike here, guys. It just got a spike there towards 4. Let's take a look here at the Qs. Qs are coming right back down, so that actually looks good for my outlook for NVIDIA to come right back down, but the Qs still could make a move right back up, right? I think that we really need to kind of clear out 372 on the downside for you to really see that leakage come in here. We'll see what happens there, but definitely Tup getting a little bit of a spike, man. And this is why you don't go also probably shorting this stock right now. At least I'm not getting in front of this stock by any means. I remember I was looking at it here at like, let's say 5 or 86, but the truth is you never know when these stocks are going to stop on their momentum move. Like, let's say like an overstock today. Yeah, I feel like going to short that stock too, but I'm not short it right now, right? Upstart, another name that I was talking about, maybe potentially getting short at the 68s, right? I didn't get that one, and it did eventually go to the 68s. It went right here, but it didn't get up there towards 68.29s. It did eventually, though, go towards above 68s and then right back below it. So this actually looks interesting for me, but it's also asking for danger, right? But this stock has been up significant amount. Eventually, this stock might take a pullback, right? Maybe just to the 9 EMA, which is a 64 outlook. But it could definitely pull back. And look where the 50 moving average is. 50 moving average on the Upstart is all the way down to 41.54. So what do these tops look like? They look like capitulatory tops. And so a lot of the times you're going to see a lot of people try to risk off of these levels. The same way that, like, let's say the reason I got out of PXD yesterday, it looked like a topping action on PXD. Even though it could go higher today, and I was wrong in that sense, it's okay to take those approaches, right? Take some gains, get out. We'll see what happens. OSTK is the new triple BY, or at least it got the intellectual property. I don't know how much property was there, but it did get the gains there from it. OSTK did spike. But now what are you seeing? A lot of topping in the 39s. So I'm sure there's some people looking at that as a level to short off of on the 39s. Humana, looking for this to finally make the move up, finally get the rip towards the upside here. You can see here, we've kind of been in a kind of flagging pattern here, coming right back down. I'll look to see if this can continue higher. Of course, I have a swing trade on this. Why is it a flag? Because there's two trend lines going in the same direction versus a support line. But you could also, draw a support line here and see if it can hold that on pullbacks. Now I want to see a big candle come up for the 490s. Let's see if it can do it. All right, let's keep watch on some other stocks there. All right, let's go back to this NVDIS. It's at the 81s. It might cut me down here as it starts to pull back. The Qs are coming right back pretty strong here. So it might take a little bit longer today to get this drop in NVIDIA today. I could pull back my entry a little bit to just give it a little bit of room. I think I'm going to give it a little bit of room below that 77. So I'm going to go just slightly lower. All right, we'll still hold towards the original risk, the intended risk. We'll look to see if we get that move back up there. Qs starting to try to come back up there, and that could actually push some stocks higher. So just be careful out there. A leading stock that I would kind of keep an eye out for is Amazon. Amazon gets that rip above 129. You could see Apple come back also. And then, of course, what are they doing? They're jumping on stocks that have earnings tonight to see if maybe we could at least lift it for the day. Does this mean that it's going to rip towards after the bell? No, but I would maybe ride it back up if it could get that wave back up. We'll see what happens. Q's trying to make that move to 374. That's a big level to watch for today. We'll see if it gets there.
Wow, it's 11 a.m. already, and we're out of here.
Holy moly. You could see how quickly it went today. Some days it goes by slow.
Wow.
Some days it goes by fast. Nick, that was a quick one today, right?
Oh, it was. We touched on, I think, everything. And normally we don't get to just because there's a lot of stock action news. But it's 11 a.m. We have a webinar, a free webinar on pharma companies versus the tough macro backdrop next. We will see you tomorrow. Apple, Amazon, tons more. I don't know, Mitch. We'll see you today, 3:30. We'll see you swing trading. And we'll see you back here tomorrow, 9:10 a.m. Eastern time. Lots to discuss. Gear up. Apple and Amazon tonight.
All right. We'll see what happens there. And like you said, stick around right here. You don't got to go anywhere to see that webinar. Come check out some pharma companies.